Kose carried herself like a woman who knew exactly what she wanted, or thought she did. Her mother, Oma, was a legend in Lumore. 60 years old, gentle-faced but firm, she was the kind of woman who could tell a story with her cooking. Her soups had healed arguments, her stews had sealed friendships, and her recipes were whispered about across the city's kitchens. She often told her daughter, "Kosi, a woman who knows how to cook guards the peace in her home. Listen and learn." But Kosi never took the lesson seriously. Whenever Omar tried to teach her the secrets of timing, spice, and patience, Kosi would glance at her phone, scroll through messages, or hum absent-mindedly. "Mother," she said one afternoon, as the aroma of melon soup filled the kitchen, "cooking is not that deep. I'll learn when I marry. Besides, it's the modern age. We can order anything online." Omar sighed deeply. You think you can buy experience like groceries?" Kosi laughed, slipping out of the kitchen. "When I get married, I'll cook my own way." Omar shook her head. "When the pot boils over, the noise will teach you what my words could not." Months later, Aniba village glittered with joy. It was Kosi's traditional marriage day. The village square was well decorated and grand, as it sparkled with gold ribbons, and the sound of drums brought more zest to the event. Kosi looked like a dream. Her native wrapper and red beads radiated all through. Her smile glowed, and her husband-to-be, Obi, couldn't take his eyes off her. Obi was tall, dark and calm, with a clean haircut and a gentle but firm presence, the kind of man people respected instantly. Oma had prepared the entire catering herself. The square was alive with the aroma of perfection. Pepper soup, fried rice, and grilled fish that melted on the tongue. Guests were speechless. "Aha, this is divine," one guest exclaimed. Another whispered, "Her mother is a queen in the kitchen." "This family is blessed." Kosi, basking in admiration, smiled proudly. But deep down, she thought, they will soon see that I can do better than my mother. The traditional marriage was flawless. Cameras flashed, laughter echoed, and social media buzzed with pictures of the perfect couple. Kosi believed her life was now complete. After the marriage ceremony, she moved into a posh apartment with Obi in Nuvera Estate, the pride of Lumora. Wide streets, trimmed lawns, and glittering high-rises. On their first night together as a husband and wife, Kosi decided to cook for him. She stood in their sleek modern kitchen, remembering faintly how her mother stirred stew with patience and rhythm. But she quickly brushed the thought away. "I'll do it my way," she said to herself. Something creative. Instead of stock or seasoning cubes, she poured red wine into the pot, smiling at the swirl of color. She added spices she didn't measure, herbs she didn't name, and a pinch of ego. The aroma was sweet and strong. She believed it was perfection. When Obi came home, she served him proudly. He smiled lovingly, took the first spoonful, and paused. The taste was confusing. Sweet, bitter, and sour all at once. Kosi leaned forward eagerly. "You like it?" Obi blinked. "It's different." She clapped her hands. "I knew you'd love it." But that night, as he turned restlessly in bed with a hand on his stomach, Kosi lay beside him, smiling into the darkness, thinking she had conquered the kitchen. Obi was surprised at the type of food Kosi kept preparing. Since their marriage, as she believed, her mother's cooking skills should be part of her. Obi observed that if he continued eating what Kosi presented to him, he may not remain alive. Obi started eating outside before coming home. Kosi, having observed that Obi no longer ate her food, started inviting her friends to cook for her. when Obi went to work and at the same time refusing to learn, preferring them to cook for her. When her friends were not available, she would order buckets of already made soup from cooking outlets and other food and served him happily. She would beam with pride. There are solutions to everything. One evening during the weekend, Kosa presented to Obi the food she had purchased and persuaded him to taste it. Obi reluctantly tasted it and was amazed at the taste. "This is the daughter of Oma that I married. This is what I expect from you," Obi stated, believing Kosi cooked the food. Her friends noticed her continued struggles and plea, kept sending her cooking tips to her phone. With them around, the food came out decent. Not perfect, but passable. "Kosi, just follow your mom's method," one friend warned her over the phone. She laughed. "No, I'm not a village woman. I'm creating modern flavor." But fate, as always, waited patiently. One Saturday afternoon, Obi's old friends from university, 6 of them, came to visit. They were loud, confident, and known across Lumora's business circles. Obi was proud to introduce his wife. "Kosi, they've heard so much about you," he said, smiling. "Especially about you and your mom's cooking." She froze for a moment but smiled brightly. "Ah, of course. You'll love what I make today." She called her friends for help, but none picked up. She texted. No replies. Her mother's number flashed on her screen, but pride held her hand back. The food deliveries she received from the food vendors were exhausted, and the vendors had none in stock for delivery. The food her friends made for her had already been used up. "I'll handle it myself," she said aloud, tightening her white apron. That bold and brave decision broke the city. She decided to cook stew again. She brought out all her ingredients on the table. Which one will go in first? Is it the fish or meat or tomatoes? Whichever. As long as all are in this pot, it will be great. The aroma filled the apartment, rich and strange. The men in the living room laughed, drank, and praised the smell drifting from the kitchen. She crowned her cooking by pouring red wine into it. "Kosi," one of them called out. The aroma alone the humble man. Kosi grinned proudly. "Wait until you taste it." When the food was finally served, steaming rice, stew glistening like rubies, the men dug in. Silence. Then, one of them coughed quietly. Another forced a smile that looked like pain. A third muttered under his breath, "What is this?" Within minutes, their smiles vanished. Faces twisted in discomfort. One excused himself politely and ran to the bathroom. Another followed. The rest stared helplessly at Obi, who sat frozen, shame creeping up his neck. Obi's closest friend, Kunle, whispered, "Bro, what did she put in this stew? My tongue is confused." Obi forced a smile, trying to cover the disaster, but the damage was done. By evening, half of Lumora had surprisingly heard about the red wine stew that broke men. Obi was silent that night, painfully silent. Finally, he said, "Kosi, you could have called your mother. Pride won't cook for you. Rather, pride will cook you." Her heart cracked. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't sleep that night. The laughter of Obi's friends replayed in her mind. She remembered her mother's calm voice. The city has eyes, and it does not forgive pride. By morning, she swallowed her pride, packed a small bag, and drove back to Kivara Street. When Oma opened the door, Kosi fell to her knees. "Mama, please, teach me. I've ruined everything. Obi is ashamed. His friends mock me. The whole city knows." Oma said nothing. She only helped her daughter to her feet and led her into the kitchen. "You have finally come to the right classroom," she said softly, Now we begin. From that day, Kosi became Omar's student. The morning started with grinding pepper. Afternoons were spent learning how to time salt. Evenings were about patience. The kind of patience that taught humility. She cried, laughed, and burned her fingers, but she didn't stop. Omar made her repeat the same stew 10 times until it tasted right. Cooking, she said one night as the scent of real flavor filled the air, it's not about showing off. It's about giving peace. Kosi listened, truly listened, and for the first time she understood. But Lumora hadn't forgotten her embarrassment yet. Her final test was still coming. A moment that would determine whether she had learned or not, and whether her husband would still stand by her. The city of Lumora was alive again with whispers. Months had passed since the red wine stew scandal that shook Nuvira Estate. People had laughed, tweeted, and made jokes in salons and bars. But while the city talked, Kosi was learning. In her mother's kitchen, at her residence at Kivara Street, she had transformed. Gone was the proud, impatient woman who once dismissed instruction. In her place was a calmer, humbler Kosi, a woman who now stirred her pot with patience and understanding. Omar would watch her closely, nodding whenever she saw progress. "Now you are cooking with your heart," she said one evening. "Cooking is not decoration, it is devotion. Remember that." Kosi smiled faintly, wiping her forehead. "I will never forget, Mama." Soon, her confidence returned. Not the loud kind born of pride, but the quiet kind that grew from mastery. She could now tell when the palm oil was hot enough just by the smell. She knew when pepper had cooked properly without tasting. Her hands moved with rhythm, her timing sharp. But she still feared one thing: Obi's disappointment. He had been kind since the incident, but distant. Though he never raised his voice, silence often hung between them like fog. Kosi prayed for a chance to prove herself again. That chance came sooner than expected, but not the opportunity he wanted. It was a Friday morning when Obi called from work. "Love," he said, "some friends are in town. 3 of those that visited from last time. They'll be stopping by this afternoon." Kosi froze. Her hands trembled as she held the phone. "The same friends. Please let them go to a hotel and stay, and if possible, pass the night there." "Yes," he said carefully. "Please, they are eager to see us. They said they missed your creative stew." He chuckled gently. "Don't stress too much. Just make something simple." After the call ended, Kosi stood in silence. Her heart raced. She turned to her mother, who was sipping tea in the sitting room. "Mama, they're coming again," Kosi said. "Those same men." Omar set her cup down slowly and looked up. "Good," she said calmly. "It is time for the city to see your new heart." Kosi's throat tightened. "Mommy, you said good. What if I fail again?" Her mother smiled gently. "If you follow what you've learned, you cannot fail. When the heart is humble, the food listens to you." They went to work immediately. The kitchen came alive. Onions sizzling, palm oil glowing golden, the scent of fresh pepper filling the air. Kosi moved like a dancer now, graceful and focused. She measured, stirred and waited. Every action was intentional. As the stew thickened, Oma stood quietly by, watching her daughter command the kitchen with the confidence of one who had paid her dues. The aroma floated through the open window and into the street. Even the neighbors paused, sniffing the air. "Who is cooking that?" someone whispered. By the time Obi's friends arrived, the apartment was filled with the warmth of real food. They came laughing and loud, remembering the last disaster. Kunle, Sunday, and Fred, tall, polished men in suits, carrying the confident air of the city's elite. "Ah, Kosi," Kunle greeted playfully. "We came ready this time, just in case." He held up a bottle of antacid tablets, and they all laughed. Kosi smiled shyly. "You won't need those today," she said. Obey looked at her, unsure what to expect, but when he inhaled the aroma from the kitchen, his eyes softened. "Something smells incredible," he murmured. When the food was served, hot rice, fresh vegetables, and a pot of golden red stew, the room went silent. They ate, and then another silence, but this time it was the good kind. Conley blinked. "Wait, Kosi, you made this?" She nodded nervously. Fred put down his spoon. "This tastes divine, like home, like comfort." Sunday leaned back, sighing with satisfaction. "This is not the same Kosi who cooked with red wine or..." Laughter erupted. Obi's face glowed with pride. He reached out and squeezed his wife's hand. "You've done it," he whispered. Tears welled in Kosi's eyes. For months she had carried the shame of her pride, the sting of gossip, and the fear of failure. But in that moment, all of it melted away. Omai, who had quietly entered the room, smiled from the doorway. "Now," she said softly, "the city that mocked you will remember your redemption." This story is from African Folktales by Momonelli. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, like and leave a comment, as we have got some more videos on the way, which we think you are really going to enjoy. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.